So you can read. Oh, how wonderful.
Howdy y'all, and welcome to the Dark Crystal Conjunction. Opening up my newest box, and it is what I thought it was. The Dark Crystal Bestiary. You can see that here. The Definitive Guide to the Creatures of Thra. Written by Cesare. Foreword by Brian and Wendy Froud. Illustrated by Compiet. And this is a 2.5 pound book. It is a hardcover. You can see there, very hefty. It's got a nice little gloss finish on certain parts there. All the purple parts, really. It's all the lettering, I should say. Purple lettering. It is 8 inches by 10 inches. 8 inches by 10 inches. An inch thick. And clocks in at 168 pages. Let's read the back. Discover the wild and wonderful creatures of Thra in this guide to the flora and fauna of the Dark Crystal universe, featuring remarkable original illustrations. In a world where rocks talk and trees dispense wisdom from across the ages, anything is possible. The comprehensive volume catalogs the many life forms of Thra's unique ecosystem, from the vile Skeksis and their noble counterparts, the Mystics, to a whole cornucopia of amazing creatures and critters, including Landstriders, Gartham, Peeper Beetles, Fizzgigs, Pluffums, and many more fan favorites. Drawing from all aspects of the saga's universe, including the critically acclaimed Netflix show The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, this book features all new illustrations by Compiet, a protege of the original Dark Crystal concept artist Brian Froud. Visually dazzling and filled with enthralling information about all Thra's life forms, the Dark Crystal Bestiary is the definitive guide to this world of wonders. This is another book by Inside Editions, and interestingly enough, for some reason these Inside Edition books in America always get fulfilled late and come in later. Like this was release date October 13th. It came in earlier for UK and Australia. MSRP $29.99. Of course, it's about $24 online though, so you get it much cheaper, but looks great thus far. Let's take a crack at this. Look at that Fizzgig on the side. Alright, ooh, starts with a nice map. I did not expect that. That is really cool. Descriptions of each. Oh, even has some of the animals there. Nice. Well, that's a cool map. That's a... I've not seen this version of the map of Thra before. At least this known section of Thra. I still think there's a lot more to it that we haven't seen yet. Nice little watercolors here. Alright, let's take a crack at this. And everything is illustrated by Iris. It's not normal that for something this thick that one artist does it, but that's what they chose to do here. You also have the map on the back, looks like, with no descriptions. That's really great. You need to try to scan that somehow. There's our contents. Lots of creatures. Looks like it's separated. World of Thra, Gelfling clans, Skeksis Mystic, Creatures of Thra, Protectors of Thra also. So primarily Creatures of Thra. In an interview I heard with them, they talked about how they wanted this to feel like you were in Thra and someone was just writing about the biology, about the life forms of it. Kind of like a Gelfling sitting off to the side, although Iris said she thinks of herself more like a mystic, so you can picture a mystic, you know, just taking notes, cataloging all the life on Thra, which makes sense. I could totally see that happening, but wonderful artwork. So again, this is lots of intro stuff, all about the Gelfling, and man, I really love her style. It is marvelous. Iris says that she did over 1,000 sketches and illustrations, and she has them in a notebook. And actually, I'm on her Patreon, and she says that she's going to show some of those sketches that, you know, aren't here in the book, because in the book you wind up having about 200 different pieces of art that made it in. But this is cool. All the descriptions are by Cesare. He did write the Hup arc of the comic book, so he's not brand new to Thra. He has done some Thra work before, but they do talk about how there were some creatures that they had no pictures on, and really not much info, and so they kind of created those as a team along with the Jim Henson Company, and some of it even, you know, passed through the Frouds as well. But lots of great stuff here. I really love these full spreads. As far as the paper itself, I don't usually talk about the paper. It's not a glossy paper. It's a very thick, I mean, it almost feels like a cardstock. It's a very thick paper, but there's no gloss on it. I'm kind of changing the lighting angle so you can kind of see, so looks great. But I love this kind of sketch stuff, and I would really love if they had I kind of joked, like a DLC or an extended book, you know, a little booklet where you got all that extra artwork, you know, that stuff that wasn't as detailed and finely done as this type of stuff when she watercolors. And all her stuff is traditional. None of this is computer. It's graphite and watercolor, and I really love it. So these are all Gelfling clans, and we already have a lot of info on them. I am, of course, looking forward to reading more. Oh, Urskex. I am going to pore over this book and read all about this, because I wonder if there's any more history on this. They do say that they pay a lot of honor and tribute to all the various Dark Crystal media that's come, you know, in the last 3 years. So, man, such a great, great shot. Wish I had another hand to help me out and hold this open, but I don't. There are also 2 never-before-seen mystics that we get in here. So we saw Skekvar the General in the show, but we've never seen Irma the Peacemaker. Now, Iris did say that she actually was pretty intimidated by having to do these because, you know, like, this is the kind of stuff that Brian Froud made. And actually, when she was at Brian Froud, he did show her some sketches he had, some really rough sketches. And so she still did add a lot of stuff. And the author actually says he thinks she's selling herself short by, you know, not saying like how much she did to this. But I think she did a wonderful job creating mystics. The healer. Yeah, so it's really cool that we see 2 mystics that we've never seen before in here. And apparently there's a lot of creatures also that we may have heard the name, but we've never seen before. They'll be here as well. So another spot where you can get a lot of information about the Skeksis and mystics is in the World of the Dark Crystal, which came out in 1982. But great to see this refreshed, and oh man, I would really love to see the Slave Master. Got our Scribe and Scroll Keeper. Huh, you can read. They're great. Skekshad the Treasurer. Numerologist. Really interesting to see. I'm really interested to see what info, if any, we get from this. One little thing I did already see from here, I do believe, see the designer of the Skeksis gaudy garments, crafted outfits for his cronies. So people are already freaking out like, well, it used to always say refer to Skekekt as a he, and then in the newest books and stuff, it's been saying she, and here it is he again. So, I mean, Skekekt is still Skekekt, so whatever the personal pronoun, I don't know if Skekekt actually cares, but FYI, there are, both are used throughout the decades, and even still within just this last year, both are used. Ursen the Monk, so here's the other one that we have yet to see before. Counterpart, of course, to Skeklak the Collector. I'm glad Ursen doesn't have any boils or anything weird like that, but does still have his own distinct look. So I'm curious to learn more about him because we really have no info about him other than what's going to be in here. And I've yet to, well, that picture was already published online, so I had read it before. Of course, we got some new information on the Heretic. I already showed a little bit about that. We know why he has that nail in his head now. That was to tune himself to Thra more. And it also talked about how him tying his hands behind his back was kind of a penance for past sins and whatnot, back when he was the conqueror, and his relenting of that. Sorry for the meows, there's a cat in here. Ronep, oh yes, love it, love it. These look like they're straight out of creation myths. Oh, and I love lore. I've been holding off on doing a lore video about lore, kind of waiting for this book, because I think pretty much have all the information we can get out of them, at least for now. Interesting enough, this little podling here was the same one that was Agra's assistant. If you look at the clothing, so Agra drove him to drinking. The same little podling you see in episode 2, that is. Stuff about the podling houses. Very cool. Oh, we even get the Macrax. You see these guys. These were kind of originally unused puppets that were going to be in the original Dark Crystal movie. We see them in creation myths. They play a big part in the formation of the Crystal Alliance, which helped get the Skeksis in power. And then they ultimately kind of became the other characters. We'll get to them, other characters in the Dark Crystal. We learn a little bit more about that in Epic Return to Thra. Spitters, Threaders, very cool. Grunax, that's the name. The Macrax kind of evolved, at least story-wise, in how they use them into these guys. But oh man, so sad. I wonder if this gives us any history. Again, I've yet to read this. It's just kind of my initial cracking this open for the first time. But man, this looks so awesome. I really love all this stuff. I'm trying to just kind of go through it quickly to get a general sense of it all. Man, I love the way she draws Fizzgigs. They look great. She makes me want to like get into watercolors the way she does this. Like, oh man, those Illustrator's look great in this style. So good. Ooh, and our Firelings. Would love to get more stories about the Firelings. They play a really big role in the sequels to the Dark Crystal. Power of the Dark Crystal and Beneath the Dark Crystal. This one looks very much like Thurma, which is a great character I love, and they kind of base Deet off of Thurma. Pluffum, really cute guy that you see a lot hanging out with the librarian. Of course, he eats books, so he's not a very good creature to have in a library, so I don't know how he wound up staying there. I wonder what they'll be talking about there. We have our Nurlocks there. You see them get darkened. It's very sad. Injured Deet. Nebri. Roast Nebri. Hollerbats. Hollerbats. Now these guys, Mounders, were first seen in Legends of the Dark Crystal, which yes, is canon, but they have some interesting history, and I'm curious to see what they say about in here, these Mounders. Because I think some of the changing in architecture we can kind of theorize might come from them and some other creatures. Crystal Skimmers, we of course see these in the show. Siditic, this is the little sidekick, or the favorite pet of the scientist. It's Gramuncher, so this looks like a newer type creature, one that we may have seen in the background, but wasn't named. They do mention in interviews, the authors and artists that is, that some of the stuff they had to make names for, and the Henson Company did help them out with that. This is a great shot of the Peeper Beetle. They look so insane. I love them. Oh. Thrush Pog, these are adorable. Deet interacts with these in the show. Windsifter, these play a big role. We also do see these in World of the Dark Crystal. I was really excited how they brought them back. Unamoths, which are related to the Windsifters, of course. Moog. Moog is a character that actually, or a creature that a fan made. There was a fan contest of create your own creature, and it'll come up in the show. And this does show up in the Crystal Desert, from what I recall. I actually would love to do a separate video on that, because it's really cool how fan stuff, you know, always keeps the Dark Crystal alive, and how some of it even makes it into the Dark Crystal. That is just incredible. I feel like, oh, so this looks like the rock type things that we see moving in the original movie, I believe. Firebug. These look new to me. They might be in Power of the Dark Crystal, though. Haven't seen it in a while, though. Vindel. Wow, that is a cool looking creature. This looks like a fairy you might see in another book by Iris, her Fault Line, Fairies of the Fault Line. Ah, Bortog. Now, Bortog is the creature's name. I guess it's also his species. Luminous Flying Eel, the Bortog. Okay, I guess it's also not just his name, but what he is. Kind of like Fizzgig. Fizzgig's name is Fizzgig, and he is a Fizzgig. This creature reminds me a lot of the Luck Dragons, especially with how they fly, especially with their descriptions in the Neverending Story book. But this character comes out in beneath the Dark Crystal. It's really cool. These are akin to owls. I'm gonna kick this cat out. Povarts. Bubble up. Bubble up. That's so great. Salob. This guy gets a lot of screen time, surprisingly, in the show. Like, they cut to him so many times. This guy looks so cool. So Thra looking, these things. Huh? Teber Frock. That's adorable. Never seen those gobbles. Oh, yes. Many meet their demise to the gobbles. Ipsy. Oh, those look cool. Never seen those. Dumbler. Grizzizzy. One thing that's really, oh man, that thing is beautiful. I mean, look at this artwork. It's so good. One thing that's really cool about this is because the flora and fauna of Thra is alive. It's not like any other ecosystem. That's one thing that makes Thra unique. It's really cool to get these creatures. Get a whole book about them because they play a really, it's something that really sets Thra apart. His little smirk there. I love it. Man, this is a beautiful looking book. Pimlim looks a little related to the Pluffin. Huh, Bright Skez. This looks like it could have come out of Labyrinth or Fraggle Rock. This thing's straight out of Fraggle Rock. Very Henson. Feels very Henson. Ribbit. Nice. Wow, lots of new creatures. I mean, I haven't heard of so many of these. Tortold, we see these in the first arc of the Age of Resistance. They can actually move around, and this might be another reason why we have variances in maps, because the flora and fauna is alive, so we shouldn't expect that the maps are going to all be the same. I would like to do a little video on that, of course. Time. Dubbabub. What a name. Tendril. Oh, these are the guys we see in outside of Agra's Cave. Or Orrery. Our home. Armored Bub. The Crawlies. Yeah, these guys are great. Little wind-up toys from the original movie. Love the story behind that. I'm curious to see how many of these little things are named in other media. I'll have to figure some of that out. Wow, that thing looks vicious. Look at that flower. Carnivorous flower, obviously, with teeth like that. Oh, those are kind of cute. Remember this guy from Age of Resistance? Fragor. I believe this comes out in the during the Age of Power. They are some of the antagonists in the sequels, though I thought they may have been on fire. Yeah, firelings. Yeah, so yeah. Oh, Seedles. These guys also are living forest on their back eventually. You see these in a smaller form in the second arc, the Hup arc. So, which this author did write about these there. And so, I think he made up that character, which is really cool. Kind of related to Mounders. That's what it seems, or at least they kind of make you think it's a Mounder at first in the comic arc. Which those comics are really great. Oh, Tumbleloth. These are great. Oh man, I love the way she did these, like showing them more realistically. Because in the comic, they look very cartoonish. These come out first in, this is one of Therma's kind of sidekick pets, like the way Fizzgig is kind of like the sidekick pet of Kira. Tumbleloth is that for Therma in Power of the Dark Crystal. But man, I really love how realistic she made that look. That is really cool. Right, so these guys also come. Oh wow, they look a lot more like what do I want to say? Not coyotes, but like hyena-like. you see these guys in Legends. This is really cool. That is really cool. Theodioim. Okay, I don't think we've seen these before. These are very important to the Deucin in the Crystal Desert. Very important stuff. So, man, there's a lot of stuff here. Huim. These are very important to the Siphon. They have celebrations and days for them. Really big part of the Siphon. I'm sure it says that somewhere here. Yeah. Silver Jewels of the Siphon. Very important. I also don't think we've ever seen them, so it's really cool to see them. Oh, Muskie, little Naya, especially in the books. Her Muskie plays a bigger role, little Neffy. But I really love how she made it just look so realistic. This is really cool. These look like new, just totally new creatures. I don't recall them being from anything else. It's so Thra. I love it. Swootle, Shra. Man, and her colors are great as well. Oh, and the great trees. Do they show all the trees? I would really love it if they did. Oh, they don't. They stop at that one? Oh, there's a great tree for each clan, and I would love to see a picture of the coral tree for the Siphon. But no one shows them. This is the one that we get in Age of Resistance, so we're familiar with this. In the books, the characters interact with each of them. Oh, I would really love to see the rest. I would really love to see more trees also. I mean, there is a lot of information. That's 160 plus pages of this. So initial review, I'm very glad they gave us something like this. This is something nerd fans really love to see, all the details of the minor background characters, creatures, and whatnot. And obviously they gave us more than that, because they gave us the Skeksis and Mystics and stuff about the Gelfling as well. I'm glad that the majority of it wasn't them though, because we get a lot of them throughout everything. So I'm glad that a lot of it was the background creatures. This is really cool. But man, knowing she has 900 or 1,000 plus sketches of this, I would really love to see just give us everything. But really cool book. Definitely a must for, well, collectors collect everything, but a fan in general, I think you really like this. I am going to look forward to reading it. I've already read some of them. It gives a lot of great information, and I'm going to read it again. So until next time, keep exploring Thra, and buy books like this which help you do it.